Okay, so welcome to our Working with Portraits webinar designed to support the Memory Book Online Yearbook program. Our goal this afternoon will be to focus on the functions of the program associated with student portraits. Specifically, we will be reviewing uploading images or uploaded images, printing class sheets for other teachers or parents to review and correct, and then going over some strategies for detecting duplicate images, correcting student names, categorizing students, and then wrapping up by using the flow function to create a portrait page. So this webinar will be approximately 20 to 30 minutes. If you have questions along the way that are kind of go along with whatever the topic we're talking about, you can put those in the chat and I can try to squeeze those in. If it's something that's either not related or maybe goes with something else, I may hold off on that to the very end there. So we'll go ahead and get started. First place, I'm going to actually just jump onto a page here. Okay, so the first thing we'll go and kind of cover about those of you that are getting class pictures taken right now. Some schools have already had photographers out getting their pictures. Some may still have the photographer coming in to take their images. Now, once you have those done and they're on your way, we are seeing like a lot of those now. The photographers are providing email links. So if you get this email link, a lot of times no need for you to download it yourself. What you'll want to do is forward that on to your sales rep, and you're going to specify how you want those sorted. Now we always have two sort methods when going into the program. There's by grade, there's everybody all together, and there's by teacher homeroom, which is more broken down by individual class, like Mrs. Smith's class, Mrs. Johnson's class. So a lot more are still coming, or we seeing more photos by link. Occasionally, some advisors may still get a class photo on CD. If you end up with a CD, I don't believe the sales kits or the yearbook kits that go out this year are including an envelope anymore. So if you do get a CD, you need to send that in. Just contact your sales rep and they can still get you an envelope that has the portrait form on it. And on one side, it does have a form on just how you want those sorted. One more thing back on the class photos by link. If by some chance, some are just like if you click on it, it'll straight download a zipped folder that we could use or give us access to download the photos. But if yours requires any kind of password or anything kind of like that, make sure to send that on to your sales rep as well. That way our production team can be able to access those images and get those up into your account. Now, once we have received your images, it's usually uploaded within 3 to 5 business days. There. Now, once your photos have been uploaded, I'm now going to jump under Create and go to the image library. And so once they're uploaded, we usually send out an email notification letting you know that they're there. At that time, before start working on putting them on pages and that, it's best to kind of just get into the program, come in here to the image library. No, usually the first time you kind of come in here for the session or for the day, when you first get in here, you'll hit this welcome message, just telling you about the folders having 2 possible states. That's fine. We'll just click OK. Normally everything looks kind of collapsed up here. So when you first come in, all your categories are going to be over here to the left-hand side. Your class photos are going to be under the portrait section here. So if we click on the little arrow next to portrait, it'll then reveal your categories. So mine is kind of more or less set up by teacher right now. You'll normally see the teacher names. If you have them sorted by grade level, a lot of times you'll kind of just see numbers here, like K for kindergarten, 01 first grade, 0 to second grade, and so on. Another thing that we here at Memory Book will probably do, usually when your photographer sends an index, there is just one grouping of staff. We usually help you out by giving you a staff copy folder, just duplicating your staff. We got in the practice of doing that just because a lot of schools will sometimes put, all the staff together is be on their staff pages, but then say they need another copy of the teacher because they also wanted the teacher on the class page. We got a lot of the requests in the early years for that, so that just became standard practice that we do. So if you ever get in here, see your photos, you'll probably see staff copy, or faculty copy. So just letting you know that that copy is usually exactly what it is, just a copy. That way you have more than one image in there to use in different places. All right. So now, once you start getting a look at these, if you click on a category, it's going to display your class photos out to the side here. So yeah, it's first thing you'll want to do is start reviewing, going through these, checking names, checking to make sure students are in the correct classes. Now, one best way to get some help with that, or kind of spread the work out, that way you're not doing it all yourself, is to print composite proofs or class sheets here. So what you can do with that, we'll just select a grade here. Then we'll go up and hit preview. And what this will do is it's going to generate a PDF proof that you can then either download digitally and email that out to a teacher or teachers, or you can send it directly, or download it and print it, or print it directly, and then hand those printouts out to the teachers there. What these are really good for, or what they're handy for, is you can hand these out to the teachers with the expectation, they can go through it, compare their class lists, start marking on some of the photos, like, okay, this student needs to be in so-and-so's class, or this student is in the other 5th grade class. And they can kind of mark that on there. Maybe you have students who have left the school already. I know it's pretty early in the school year, but sometimes kids kind of move whenever. Also, they can use this kind of dash out name, or cross out names, write in a correct name if it's misspelled, or anything like that. So once these are all marked up, your teachers have gone through it, reviewed their class lists. Hopefully they can get those back to you, and that's when you can start making some of the other changes within the library. So we're just going to go. Let's pretend that this got marked up, who's who, is everyone in the right class, names, and so on. So I'm going to close out of that. Okay, so once you get your list back, here's where you can come back through. So one of the easiest things you do, if you have any students that have, maybe you have students that are in the wrong classes, maybe you need to move just a few students around. What we can do here is, if you have a student that's moving around to another class, I'll just pick this one here. All you have to do is just drag and drop that image over to the folder, or the class folder that they need to be in. And then you'll see them drop in here, and they'll automatically alphabetize themselves amongst that group. So students out in the wrong class, it's just really easy just to drag and drop them over into the correct folder. Now, one thing on correcting names, if you need to do that, a couple different places that you can correct the names at. One is obviously right here in the image library, but I'm going to take you out of here just a moment. I'm going to go under Create, and I'm going to go to Coverage Report. Now, when we upload your class photos here and we use the index file, essentially, once we upload the class photos, all those names that were tagged to the photo actually go ahead and populate a name list here for you, here in the coverage report. So one way, what the coverage report is really good for, basically it's a name list. Its basic function here is keeping track of the number of times a student is used in a book. Um, so if you have candidates that you have uploaded under the activity section, and you'd like to tag those, usually it's kind of better to, before you start getting into tagging, it's usually a lot easier to tag after your class photos have been uploaded, and that way you can go through and kind of check the names there. Um, once the list is here, you can then start tagging other images like your candidates. Then you can kind of get a real true feel of how many times students are used in the book, because those tags are only counted or tracked once they're on your pages. But for our purpose here today, the coverage report is going to be used for a couple things. This is really easy to come in here and start editing names. What I usually like to do right here off the top is just Mary Abney here. Well, let's say that Mary is actually Marley. You can come in here and just kind of quickly edit their names. So it's real quick. If you have those changes, it's really quick to do it in this area. If you have anyone that is, let's say that you have either duplicates, or if you find duplicates in the names, sometimes you may have students that actually have the same name, but a lot of times some of that just can get duplicated in here. Like if they had a duplicate image within the upload there, you might see a name in here twice. At that point, you can come up here and hit delete people. Basically, it'll give you a list going all the way down there. I go back. Now, another way to delete people, I think after you get going on a few things or have used these, there should be an X over here to the side where you can delete those out as well. Now, any changes that you make to names here in the coverage report automatically take place and change on the tag that you'll see in the photos area back under the library. So wanted just to quickly kind of go over a coverage report. Again, it's one of the easiest way to come in and correct names, and it's also a good way to kind of go down through and kind of spot duplicates as far as at least by names that are here. Okay, so I changed just on this one, just so you can see, I changed Mary to Marley here. I'm going to go back to our image library. Okay, I'm on the right because that student was in the Drake 4 class. I'm going to bring this up here. We can actually see right here that that name change did happen here. Now you can also edit names right here in the library. For those that you want to stay in just one spot, you don't want to do a lot of jumping around in the program. So what you can do here to edit a name on a photo, a couple ways you can access this. You can either double click on the photo and that'll bring the image up in a preview window here. Now, if double clicking for some reason doesn't seem to be working for you, if you double click or try, that just doesn't pop up, come down here, click the little blue information eye, and it'll bring up the preview window as well. So we got our preview here on the left of this window. Over here we have the name tag. Now to edit the name, you're going to click the little pencil icon there. You'll get a confirmation message come up letting you know that, hey, really, this is just a correct misspelled name. Click continue. And then we can come in here on our prompt. I'm just going to change that back to Mary and save. Now we can see our name change has happened on our tag. Now from here, if there are other names or students in the group, we could just hit the next button and go on to the next students that are there, or we can hit done if we're just done. Okay, so that's just two examples of how you can change, edit those. So coverage report, kind of a quick name list. You can kind of really scroll through there and edit easy that way. Or if you're just wanting to stay within the photos area, you can just double click on the photo and hit the pencil icon to change it there as too. Okay, now one other thing I'll show here, and I'm going to go to our no photo images. So another thing when we are uploading your class photos, another thing that we kind of add in there are some no photo available images to use. It's if you have missing students, or maybe you have picture or students that they're not supposed to have their name or their photo in the yearbook, but maybe they can still have their name in the book and you want to show, you want to include them somehow. So no photo images work in those cases as well in most times. To use one of our no photo images, so we'll just go back to that Drake 4 class there. So if we have anyone that's missing for that day or we can never get a photo, what you would do, take one of our no photos, drag and drop it into the classroom. Okay. Now we can kind of see it ended up here at the end of our class list here. So now we need to add a name to one of our no photo images. So I'm going to bring that up in the preview. Now one thing about how tags work here in the program, on a no photo image, you're not going to hit the little pencil icon to edit it. Because what it'll do is any image, see this image has a last first tag on it. Well, all of the other no photo images have the same tag. So if you just simply edit the name, what will end up happening, it's going to edit the name on all of those other images with the same tag, the same last first. So what you'll want to do with these, so you don't edit it and change the name on all the other no photos, whenever you need to add a name, actually you're going to click the X to remove the tag completely. Now what we just did by removing the tag on that no photo image, we are breaking the link between it and all the other no photo images that are in the no photo folder. From here, we can just hit the add button and we can put in a name. First name, last name is the only thing required. You can still go in here and hit grade information. It's not required, but really just first and last. And then we can hit save. We'll have our name tag on there. And like I said, you can go on to other student or hit done. Now another thing in our example here that we have, also have the teacher is here in the classroom as well. So there's certain templates out there that will have a teacher spot up at the top. For those type of templates, you'll want to remove the teacher from the folder because you'll bring those in manually. Other templates don't have this spot, but you still want to have the teacher take the first spot on the page. So if you kind of have a layout like that, teachers within the group, you just want to have the teacher take the first spot in the normal template. There's a setting that we can apply on the photo to make sure that that teacher goes to that very first spot. So we're going to double click on the teacher. And currently we're on the People tab. We're going to click over to the Details tab. And we're going to look at this type spot that's right here. Now, when all class photos or any photo, the class photos are uploaded, all of the images have a type of student. And that's just kind of where they fit in this hierarchy. So any images marked teacher will flow first, then assistant. Assistant flows second after everyone marked teacher, then student, and then other. So since we want our teacher to take the very first spot, we're going to hit teacher there, and we're going to hit apply changes, and then done. Now, while we're still here in the photos area, the teacher's image is going to stay sorted alphabetically. But it's when we go onto the class page and we flow this group in, we will see where the teacher is then takes that first spot. Um, Now, once you've got your photos uploaded, you've had time to go over your lists, make any classroom changes, make any name changes, done no photo, and also mark your teachers if you have your teachers included. Once you have your photos to the best, kind of the way you have them, just the best that you can think of that time, then you're ready to start flowing your page. So I'm going to go back to plan here, and let's find a page on the page ladder that we can work with. We got a template here. I'm going to start over. Okay. So we'll just pick a couple pages here. We can do that. Oh, did have a quick question. Is how do you move the teacher photo out of the student group if you want it separated from the group? Good question. It's just like moving students to another classroom. So if that teacher image, you could just drag and drop them over into staff copy, or make another folder and call it extras. But yeah, you're just going to drag and drop them out to another folder. So good question. So back on the page here, what we'll do to begin flowing, we need a good portrait template to go with. So we can go under designs and close all this back up here. Okay, so you're going to go under the designs tab and we're going to look under portrait. Now, as we're looking under portrait, it's kind of divided a couple different ways. You click on all portraits and see every template for portraits that we have there. Now, as you go down, they're kind of broken down by categories. The first way they are kind of sorted is by photo box size. So 4x6 pica being the smallest photo box size that we have. Let me drop one of these on here real quick. So this would be for like very large classes, something like that needs to go across a ways. And then we have some middle of the road options, 6x8. And this is kind of like the template style I used on the last one, whereas the students would flow in here, but the teacher, you would drag and drop from the images tab over and fill the first spot. I'm going to find one that doesn't have this here. Actually, I think that was supposed to go to that side, and this one's supposed to go to this side. Yep. Okay. So I'm just going to start with a template like this here. Now, kind of going down through the other sizes. So the larger the pica number here, the larger the photo box will be. Now, after you get down through size, then they are sorted again by the amount of photos. How many? 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30. When you're selecting a template, the one thing that we kind of recommend or suggest is picking a template that's based on your largest class size. Why you would want to do that is, you'd look to do that if you're looking for consistency. There are some that maybe they have classes all over this class has a class of 6, while this one has a class of 24. So on that class of 6, you may choose a different template on there or that. But if you're looking for a consistent look throughout the whole book, just base it off your class with the largest size, and that'll just ensure that you have enough spots on your page when you're ready to flow them in. So I'm going to go ahead with this template right here. So once we have our template on a page, there's the flow tab here, and this is where we're going to go to flow them in. But before we flow them in, some of the things that you can do before you flow them, because if you click on the page, you'll notice if you click on one of these photo boxes, it's selected like one group. this grouping with the head and shoulders photo box, and even on this larger one on this side, this is what we call a flow panel. So in order to do any flowing at all, your page must have at least a template or just a single flow panel on here for the students to flow into. Now, some few things that you can do before flowing in is with your flow panel selected, you can come up to the top here. You can change the font that you want the names to be in, font style. You can change the size if you need the names a little bit larger. You can even change the font color, fill, shape, add a stroke to it, format it just a little bit there. Now, if you have made any changes before you come over here to the Flow tab, what you'll want to do is go up here and hit the Save button. All right, so after we have our panel changes made, come over here, I'll make that the same. That way they're matching. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna hit Save here. Okay, now once we have our panel the way we want it, we hit Save. Now we can come over here and start looking at our flow options. So the first part of up here under image flow, and that's what we're doing here, these are different styles of panels that you can drop in. You don't necessarily have to start with a template at all. You can bring on one of these flow panels here and then start adjusting it. But if you're new, or maybe you just want to get things done kind of quickly, have some stuff prepared, templates are usually the best way to go for class pages. So we're going to skip over this part because we already have a flow element on the page. We're going to, from the category drop down, we're going to select the group that we're going with. I'm going to do Drake 4. Next, we're going to go under name format. By default, the names will come onto the page, first name and last name. The other sort method that is here, there is first, middle, last, first, middle. A lot of times, a lot of middle names are not included on an index in that. So first, last, or last, first, a lot of the time. Next, kind of come on down, it's going to tell us how many images are in that folder. It says we have 39. Nothing's flowed yet. We've got 39 remaining. And then we come to our start and stop fields. Now, what the start and stop is basically it is start page and stop page. So basically it controls the page or page range that you're flowing over. For smaller, to where if you're just wanting, if you smaller classes, or classes that are maybe 25 to 30, you want to fit those on one page, your start and stop will need to be the same page number. For classes that cover 2 pages or more, because let's say you have a big middle school, you're an advisor of a big middle school or junior high, high school, and let's say you need 6th grade to go across 4 or 5 pages. That's definitely, you put your start page and then you just go down, put the ending page number you want them to stop at right there in the stop. So in this case, on this example, my start is 4, my stop is 5. Tells me I have 60 available positions. So if this is lit up in white right here, that means everything is good to go. You have enough spots, everybody's going to go in. Now, if anything isn't kind of quite set up right, maybe you don't have enough spots, this little available position spot is just going to show in red. Red's letting you know that something here is not right, needs to be changed before you can flow or have a good flow going in. So in this case, it was just, I don't have enough spots because I put the start and stop to 4 and 4. If I change that back up to 5, okay, we now have plenty of positions to flow into. Coming back to what we touched on earlier about if you wanted the teacher to flow first in the group, and marking them with that setting, um, we noticed how they weren't taking to the first of the group within the library, and that's because the library just alphabetizes them by the last name. It just shows it that way. But here in the flow tab, we can see right there the first image flowing in is our teacher photo. So really, template on a page. You have your category, you have your name, you've got a good page range going on. All you have left to do is come down here and click flow. And at one time, you'll see all your photos and the names be flown into that template. And that is how you'll flow a class page in. So the better prepared that you are in the image library, just makes this go smoother. If doing a lot of the name changing, getting students into the right classes before, that'll help. Make flowing a little smooth, go pretty easy for you. However, sometimes mistakes happen. You may not catch, oh, this student actually needed to go in here, or maybe you had a makeup picture that you need to peel out, or if in case a student was in first, they have a duplicate image, maybe they had makeup day picture that got in there as well. So if you have if you flow that in, if you catch anything that is not right, like duplicate, or you're still seeing a name misspelled, or maybe you didn't mark your teacher to flow first, nothing here is set in stone. So if you had a bad flow, or a flow not go the way that you wanted, or you caught something, you want to start over or make any changes, all you need to do is come back over to the flow tab, make sure that category that you flowed onto the page is selected, and next to where the flow button is the reset button. And with reset, it just pulls everybody back out. So then from here, you are then good to go back under create and go back to the image library, make those changes, and then come back and flow. Now in that time, if you're rearranging students, and let's say you come back to the page and you're like, oh, I added this many more kids, I need spots back, because the flow takes away the extra spots, so the spot's not used. So if you find yourself in a spot where you're coming back after the flow and you need to add spots back, all you need to do, double click on the panel, and you'll see everything kind of dim and focus in around the panel here. In the top of each corner, upper right of each photo there, you'll see a little eyeball icon. And this is just a little toggle. So if we click on these ghosted ones, we can then turn those back on. So then you can turn back on, however many more spots that you need. Then you can just double click or click off to the side here somewhere and then save your changes and then flow them back in. And then you just flow and everybody goes back in. And, again, if you catch something else, hit reset, and that just pulls everybody back out. One last thing I'll show you here, and I didn't think I got to on how to check and resolve for duplicates. So we know that everything is, if something doesn't go right, we just reset it, go back to the library here. I've shown you how to move students around, move teachers out, how to edit names, how to mark a teacher to flow first, how to add no photo images. One last thing that we'll cover here is how to resolve duplicates of an image. So I'm going to just double click on the photo here. This one's going back under the details, goes back under the details tab here. And what you'll do on the image or the duplicate or whichever image that's not to be used, double click on it, come under the details, and where it says use portrait, just change that to don't use portrait, and then apply changes. So it's a way that it'll keep the image in the program without deleting it. We've seen some cases before that there was an original picture, there was a makeup picture, and basically whatever got flowed onto the page, somehow a parent had called and school advisor and was like, hey, can you make sure that you use the original day photo as opposed to that? So then what the advisor had to come back and do is actually, they had marked it, they actually had both here. I think they had deleted one, so we restored it. But in either way, it was just marking that one as do not use and then marking the other one as to use, and then they could flow that back in. So if you have duplicates, don't delete them. Just mark them as don't use, because you never know, parent, administrator, even the student themselves may come to the yearbook advisor and be like, can I please have this photo? And, as long as you mark it as do not use, it's still there. You can mark it the other way, mark the other photos don't use, reflow that back into the page with ease. So I just want to make sure I showed you all how to do that here. But as far as everything we were going to go over today, class lists, editing names, checking duplicates, stuff like that, and then flowing, we've pretty much covered everything that we were going to today. So if there did have any questions, now's a good time. If there's something that I might have missed, or if you need any kind of more clarification on, go ahead, add those to the chat line there, and I can see if I can get those answered for you. Okay. Well, not seeing anything kind of really come through there. So hopefully what we've covered today was pretty thorough, and at least have you prepared on how to start flowing your class pages there. So we'll go ahead and kind of wrap up then. So thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. The demonstration of the functions related to the creation of portrait pages should eliminate some trial and error that can occur when working on a yearbook. Printing portrait sheets and editing class data ahead of time should result in better accuracy on some of the most important pages of the book. So feel free, join us next week as we look at the creation of activity and candid pages. So have a great day.